Welcome back, Bravehearts. I'm Dr. Darryl Wolf, and this is the Doc of Detox, and you're on DocStar TV. And I want to welcome everyone to the show. And today, this is our first time that we're launching what we call Cellsonic World, okay? And I'm going to tell you something. We are creating a Cellsonic world. There are so many beautiful things that are happening in the world of health. You know what? You get what you focus on. Isn't that something? You know what? Well, most of the world thinks that it's crumbling. I see the things that are crumbling need to crumble, and the things that are rising need to rise, because guess what? They're absolutely right. You can forget normal. This is the new normal, and I'll take the new normal any day, okay? Because we are going to act abnormal, and we are going to take back, okay, our authentic selves. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to teach people how they can heal and how they can stay healed. And that's what a New World practitioner does. Today, I've got practitioners on from around the world that are purchasing or have purchased already a Cellsonic. And understand something, we are going to create a map all around the world that we have New World practitioners that are actually, okay, running Cellsonics. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Cellsonic is the most powerful advanced energy medicine device in the world. I get it. But guess what? It can only be as good as the technician. And understand, we don't have technicians that run our energy medicine device called Cellsonic. We have New World practitioners, and these are what they're called as master practitioners that usually have taken our training at least 3 times. Because understand something, you know what? It's called whole body healing. Okay, it's called whole body healing. And we're going to be talking today to these practitioners. But before I do, I want to open up with a few things. First of all, we are energy. That's all we are. We're energy. Okay, the last time that you had a lot of fun, did you have a lot of energy? The last time that you digested a meal, did you have a lot of energy? Okay, the last time you had a good bowel movement, did you have a lot of energy? The last time you made love to someone, did you have a lot of energy? The last time that you had an amazing day, did you have a lot of energy? And understand something. People today are sick and tired. And the majority are sick and tired. Most of them can't even get out of bed. And guess what? You ready for this? We hold the keys as New World practitioners on how to actually energize that person that's sitting in that bed over there, and they can't get out. And they've already given up on an emotional and physical level. They don't have enough energy, okay? Enough passion, enough drive, enough purpose, because everything takes energy. I hope you know that. And you know what? This next 2 years is going to suck the energy out of the majority of the population, because they don't know how to focus on what they want. They only focus on what they don't want. And they actually think that there's somebody on this planet that has authority over them. And this is what New World practitioners teach, that nobody has authority over you. And I'll tell you something right now. Healthcare is only self-care. So if you're not going to get trained and treated properly, you're never going to make it. And the other thing is guess what? You can go all day long and get treatments, but until you get trained, and understand, you got to be trained on how to look after yourself from when you rise in the morning until you gently close your eyes. And I want you to also understand something. Let's take a look at this. We've got medical breakthroughs everywhere that are breaking everyone down. There's no such thing as a medical breakthrough. That's the craziest thing I ever heard. There's a scientific breakthrough. I'll believe that one. There's no medical breakthrough. Next thing is, I'm going to say this, is that there are about 100 times more natural health practitioners than there are medical people in the world. So if that's true, then why is it that 92% of the population has an autoimmune disease? Why is it that people are only getting sicker? And why is it that people go from this therapist, that therapist, to this therapist, to that potion, to this lotion, and they're not getting better? Because it's always been about energy. If you can't get the mitochondria in a person's cell, which is in every cell, to start spinning 2,500 times revolutions per second, they'll never make enough energy to get out of bed, to heal themselves, to make love with anyone, to show love to anyone, to digest their food properly, to breathe properly, to live properly. And that is the bottom line. And this is what it's all about. So we're entering a whole new parameter of healing. And that's where we give all of our power over to our patients so that they can become their own practitioners. Good day, everybody. How you doing?
Hi, Daryl. This is Andrew talking.
Hi, Andrew. Let's start off with you. Everyone, this is Andrew, and Andrew helped develop the Cellsonic, and Andrew is out of the UK. Andrew, are you in a hurry to take off, or are you here for a while with us?
I'm here as long as you want me, Daryl.
All right. So,
I don't know if you measure that in minutes or hours or years.
Okay.
They're not going to get rid of me very easily.
Okay, so we're going to bounce around a little bit, okay? Shalou, would you like to come on?
Hi, Daryl. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Shallow.
Hi, Shalou. So everybody, you can see Shalou. Shalou is out of Barrie, Ontario, and I will be in Barrie, Ontario on August the 7th at 3 o'clock until 6 o'clock, and we're going to be doing a lecture called Mind Your Own Health, Mind Your Business, because guess what? Your health is your business, and it's nobody else's, and nobody else is going to take care of it, right, Shalou?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if anybody wants to come to that lecture, where can they call, Shalou? What's your phone number?
They can call the restaurant where the lecture's going to be held, 705-735-4358. And get your name down because we're already like over half full. So you better hurry and get your name down.
And it's called Reserve a Spot because I'm going to tell you something. Not everybody's going to be able to get in. And I do mean that. This is not to, because it's free. So it's not like we're trying to make money off of it. But you're not going to get in if you don't reserve a spot. And we want the people that need it the most to be there. Okay? Wayne McCarthy, would you like to come on in, sir?
Here we are, Daryl. Nice to see you again.
How are you doing, sir?
We're doing real great. It's dark down here in New Zealand.
What is it, like 6 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, getting on for that.
Yeah, and
5:30.
Yeah, and Wayne, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about where you live and what you do? And Wayne's on because he's part of Cellsonic World, everyone.
Well, we live in the north of New Zealand in a place called Waipu, and we look out over the sea with the islands out there. I'm a naturopathic physician. I trained in Oregon, and we've had a Cellsonic for about, 4 months now, Cameron? Not quite 4 months, but we've treated a lot of people. We usually run our people through a series of ozone treatments, intravenous ozone and ultraviolet blood irradiation. We work within the indigenous nation here.
Beautiful.
Working under the jurisdiction of the Treaty of Waitangi, which gives us a jurisdiction outside the government mandates. And therefore we're able to practice and see people face to face. And even through this whole pandemic, we've never missed a beat. We've just carried on as normal. We're here for our people. We work for our people. The people employ me. That's who I work for. And since we've had the Cellsonic, we've been able to achieve, healthcare breakthroughs, or we've been able to take our patients beyond what we could do before. We're very excited about it. And we've actually started a clinic, and that's the only thing we do there is the Cellsonic. And those are our favorite days at work, I can tell you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Wayne, let me say, Wayne, and we're talking face to face, as it were, from one side of the world to the other. You're a hero. I've had some reports from you, which have been superb. In fact, Daryl, this is one of the problems I, at the center of this hub, suffer from. That the people get the machines, they're very busy, they're very excited, and they forget that what I want is some feedback to say what's happening at the sharp end with the patients. We know it works, but the more feedback you can give us, the more we can then send out to other people and say, look, this is what's happening. Now, Wayne has done some superb work. And Wayne, I'm deeply thankful to you for it. I know you're thankful to me for providing a machine. But what you've done and the way you've written up about it is fantastic. Thank you very much, Wayne.
Thank you, Andrew. It's really lovely working with you. We just love everything about who you are, your philosophy. We read a lot into who you are from how you talk to us through your emails. So we took the attitude that we're going to write up every case that we treat with Cellsonic. Usually we're working with advanced chronic disease and a lot of malignancies. And so we allow an hour and a half for our Cellsonic treatments. When people come in, we interview them at first. When they first come in, we have a talk. We let them talk. We find out exactly what their goal is for the session. Then we do our Cellsonic treatment, and then afterwards we ask for feedback straight away on just what changed. We get a lot of detail during the cases, and we write it all down. We're always writing every detail down, and then we put it together into a case study, basically, and send it to you.
Yeah.
This allows us, what this allows us to do really is to dig down deep into the emotional state of our patients, because we're there for them, we have time with them, and we really focus on the underlying cause, just as you suggested.
Yeah, that's very important. The body and the mind link is the key to the whole problem here. Daryl, introduce me to your other guests as well, because there's some ladies, Dana and Gianna, who are new to me. Shallow, I know, and Wayne, of course, I've spoken with a number of times. Daryl, you're the chairman. Or shall we say, Gianna, introduce yourself to us all, please.
Janina Damien.
Good.
Hi, Janita. How are you doing, sweetheart?
Good. How are you?
Very good. So, Janina, tell everybody where you live and what you do. And just so you know, Janina is coming to take the New World Practitioner course. She's also purchased the Cellsonic. And so we need people to know where they can go and how they can be looked after. Go ahead, Janina.
Well, I live in Miami, Florida, and I'm a general dentist. And I just purchased it, but I'm a newbie. I haven't taken any of the courses yet, but I'm very interested in it. And that's what we will be doing.
You'll do fantastic. There's a huge gap. We're not represented in Florida or anywhere near it. We're in Texas and Alabama, but people who are ill, and that's who we're looking after, can't travel. So where you are is important. And of course, you've a lot of older people there who do need help. So I'm very glad to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Janina. Dana is, okay, so I'll bring Dana on. She'll tell where she's from, what her clinic is. And Dana is actually, she's a master practitioner. So she's taken our course three times full. And Dana travels all over. She deals with chronic health care everywhere. And she's a real Braveheart goddess when she takes on situations that most people would flinch, and she won't. Go ahead, Dana.
Hi, my name is Dana Billings. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Wayne. Nice to meet you
Hello.
guys. I'm in Duluth, Minnesota, and I'm very, very excited to hear about the Cellsonic. Of course, I have been treated by the Cellsonic when I was in Mexico and had great results. My clinic is Innate Health and Healing, and I'm starting to have clients. Like Daryl said, I travel a lot, and my clinic is starting to get more and more busy. And these are two people I'm going to be bringing on. My sister Adrienne, and she's kind of like my daughter. This is Brittany, and they will be working with me. So we're just really excited what the future holds, and just the sky's the limit. We're going to be able to help so many people.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dana. So, Andrew, why don't you get on and explain the technology of the Cellsonic, and then me and you will kind of just, how do we say, play a little bit of pinball, bouncing it back and forth. And then Wayne, if you want to jump in a little bit, okay, and Shalou, feel free to do it, but take it away, Andrew.
Right. And this is pretty much what I said to Wayne. Of our guests today, Wayne is now the most experienced, and Shalou's coming up very close behind because she's already got the machine. Just use it. You will learn. And don't expect to know everything at the beginning, because your first patient, you will you will probably know what to do. And then you'll think, I'm not sure, I'll call Andrew, and do that. You can get through to me on Skype. That's the easiest way. And Wayne's done that. And we had 3 or 4 conversations, but not recently. And that's not because, it's more because Wayne has figured it all out himself, and that you'll also become experienced quickly. Now, Shallow's asked me, I think, in the last, I think a question every day, isn't it, Shallow? I forget because there's so many come to my desk. But this is a normal process. So you're getting a new machine, a new technology, and a new insight into repairing the body. So expect lots of questions. One important benefit of the Cellsonic, one feature is you can't do anything wrong. If you're playing with drugs, of course you can. They're all poisons. But if you think, I'd better treat the spine of the patient, what would you, are there any side effects? There are not. And in fact, treating the spine is a good thing to do, whatever it is the patient comes in for, because it sends neurons into the brain. Neurons, apparently, is what this lady professor from Poland explained to me. I learned from you, the customers. So do what the manual says you could do. If you're not sure, ask me. If you want to do it, you safely can. If what you're doing isn't working on an area that's ill, you won't do any harm. You might not do any good. If it's an area that is suffering, is injured, you will do a lot of good. So you've got intrinsic safety in the Cellsonic. This is biophysics, remember. You're not tinkering with biochemistry, which is poisons. It has a lot of dangers. The first thing is it's safe. The second thing is it's very likely painless. The patient has to feel something. If they say, ouch, that's fine. If they're screaming, it's bad for business. You're not going to do that. Reduce the energy level. It's important they say ouch because we're targeting the body. Every cell in the body is linked to the entire brain. If that message isn't getting up into the brain isn't able to instruct the stem cells, the extra oxygen in the blood, and all that's needed to make the repair. So you have to have that contact. In fact, a good example of this, and it was in Poland, where we were doing a diabetic ulcer, and it was a huge wound, sort of from the knee down to the ankle. And I was watching Thomas, who was doing the treatment. And then I would watch the eye blink rate of the patient. The eye blink rate is a good clue to what sensors the patient's got. And this guy was almost asleep. And I turned the energy up. Now, the normal protocol is energy level 4 for a wound. I went up to 8. The guy still was about to start snoring. I went up to 10 and Thomas looked at me. I said, he doesn't feel anything. It was obvious the patient couldn't understand English, but Thomas could. So we were talking, the patient didn't know what we were saying. I said, look, he can't feel anything. The nerves are not working. If the nerves are not working, there's no instruction. You've got to have these 3 components: the arteries, the veins, and the nerves all working. If one of them doesn't work, the other 2 don't work. After about 5 minutes of bashing away, that's 1,000 shocks, this guy flinched. His shoulders moved. We'd now got part of the repair done. We got the nerves working. The rest of it will be done by the brain telling the body to send more blood to that area. And if in that case, that wound was to start to bleed, that was a reason for congratulations, not to worry. We needed some blood moving around there because these diabetic ulcers are all coming because of poor vascularization. That's one of the problems that the diabetics have. So pain I was talking about, right. It's not painful, but you have to make sure that they can feel it. That's another benefit of the whole technology. The other funny thing is, with many doctors, they'd say, but we make money by the patients coming back a lot. With Cellsonic, that doesn't happen. Hang about. This is what you want to establish your reputation. Wayne's found this. He gets patients, he cures them. He might not see that particular patient again because they're all right now. But the reputation has spread so fast. He's now got a queue going right around the block. Isn't that right, Wayne?
Oh, well, we're popular what we do, Andrew. Yep. Our community loves us.
I loved your email where you said you and Cameron, and you'd only had the machine about 2 weeks. You were exhausted. It was the excitement of what you'd achieved and all the patients banging on the door. He said, we're just going to have to take a break. That's what it's all about. This is the new world for medicine now.
It absolutely is. And if I can say something, you know how you were talking about how you had to go that long to actually get the actual communication through the nerves to the brain. This is where everybody understands. This is where the New World practitioners come into. Does anybody know why they're not? Displaced calcium, crystallization, and scar tissue. So until you had to use all that energy to actually put enough energy into that scar tissue, because it's electricity that returns the vital force back to any cells. So understand there's only 3 reasons why the information wasn't getting there: crystallization, displaced calcium, and scar tissue. And that's why when we use Wolf non-surgical, okay, and we use the Cellsonic, and we use the Perfect Day diet, and I can say this right now, we will set a precedent of healing around the world that nobody's going to be able to touch. Because you can use all the other things you want, but unless you actually pull the scar tissue apart, whether you're talking about adhesions, arthritis, a fibroid, or even a tumor, and most tumors are filled up with what? Compacted scar tissue and calcification. And what do we do when we use the Wolf non-surgical? We pull that all apart. So what people don't understand is that what we're learning, Andrew, is when you get an area that's really calcified, you go in first with the Cellsonic, because we know the Cellsonic will put very small micro fractures into any calcium that has been displaced before anything else. It'll put little fractures into it, and then it's easier when the Wolf non-surgical therapist goes in and uses his elbow, then it crumbles. Especially if you use ionic calcium or ionic calcium therapy, the liquid. You do that for a few weeks. It doesn't matter how calcified it is. We've had people come in here with tumors that are so calcified, they're like rocks. And they've been here for like 3 weeks. We load them up on ionic calcium. We do the Cellsonic, and then we go around the area and get rid of the scar tissue, because there's going to be tons of scar tissue around any fibroid or any tumor. And you want to take those legs apart, and then once you actually use the Cellsonic on it and that energy comes in, it all crumbles. And it crumbles, let me see, how can I say this? It just breaks apart. You can feel it right under your elbow. And understand this, and I'm going to say this right now, nobody's going to get the results we get unless they do the non-surgical. You can go in there and keep on doing infusions, you can apply things, but if you don't go in and pull the scar tissue apart to allow the blood flow to go back in, you're going to have to go in and hit that person with Cellsonic until the cows come home, or you're going to have to do it a lot. So this is why we're going to be doing trainings. When anybody purchases a Cellsonic from us, that's why they're going to get complete 23-day training. And then they're going to get lifetime support directly from me, and they're going to be on our advanced Q&As every week, free for life. Because the reality is this: you get practitioners that know how to put the calcium back into the bones, because there's one thing, right? We know that the Cellsonic will actually break up the calcium that has been displaced from the bones, but guess what? Can you get it back into the bone, or are you just going to have it be replaced somewhere else in the body? And that is what's going to happen, because the body, after the age of 30, cannot pull the calcium that it has lost from the bones effectively back into the place where it lost it, unless you know how to do the signaling properly to get it back in there. So you got to help it get back home. So the reality is bring the scar tissue apart, lovingly break down the calcium deposits that have been created, whether you're talking about calcium stones in the breast or arthritis or any other disease, because the more, as you guys know, the more inflamed a person is, the more calcium they pull from their bones, the more scar tissue they make. And old age is just calcium and scar tissue. It's nothing else. So the reality is now with knowing how to do Wolf non-surgical, the perfect day diet, and then the Cellsonic was the icing on the cake, there's no such thing as old age. We'll get older, but I will prove it that when I'm 95 years old, I'll have the flexibility in the mind of even when I was younger. You know, the reality is everybody needs to get this, and they need to get this. I wore glasses most of my life. I have perfect vision. You know what? I just woke up one day and had that. Everything is about electrical response to the brain. You repair the brain, you repair the body. You increase the circulation, you do it. You give me any therapist out there that uses Cellsonic without doing the Wolf non-surgical and not getting in there and pulling things apart, you're not going to get the results. And then you've got to do and teach that patient how to create a perfect day from the minute they wake up until they go to bed. They're never coming back to you, because the human body is amazing, and people will only become their own practitioner when they actually have powerful, massive take action strategies that they can implement every day. What do you think? What do you think, Wayne?
I agree with you. I just treated a woman that had one of the worst frozen shoulders I've ever seen. And I was injecting prolotherapy into the tendons where they'd pulled off the bone partially. Prolotherapy regrows tendon. I ozonate, injecting ozone all around it. That gets oxygen in there. However, I could tell she had the frozen shoulder. It wasn't going to budge. We got the pain down a little bit with these other methods. So then I used the Cellsonic and got in there with my elbow. I'm not sure what you mean when you talk about non-surgical work, but we do a lot of body work.
Well, Wayne, because you got the Cellsonic from us, that if you ever want to come here or go wherever we are training around the world, you can come or you can send someone and we'll do the full training for free.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, it's yours.
As I was working with the elbow, though, I felt the scar tissue give.
Yes.
It was like it just softened a bit. You could feel it tearing off.
Well,
and
pulling up, we don't tear
movement.
Anybody. What it actually is doing, I'm not trying to correct you, but what we're actually doing is, what happens, everyone, is that the inflammation causes dehydration, and the adrenaline and cortisol from all the fear and all the incorrect diet, it actually is glicky sticky. So it takes the fibers, causes them to stick. The inflammation then dehydrates it, and it shrinks down into a knot. And now, good luck. So then what you do is we have a technique that we use on a 45-degree angle with the elbow to untie the knot and then open up the fibers. Now when you go to do the Cellsonic, now you have the magic.
I understand.
And if I can say something, everyone, after you've done that and you use the Cellsonic, guess what it does? It goes in and knocks the calcium shell around the mitochondria that stops it from spinning its 2,500 revolutions per second. And when a person has something like cancer, or there's no such thing as cancer, and there isn't, you can call it whatever you want, but it's stage 4 inflammation. And what happens when you have stage 4 inflammation, your body sends very small ions of calcium into the cell, and it sends too much. And it actually calcifies the mitochondria that are supposed to spin, because a man of 75 kilograms is supposed to make 85 kilograms of ATP a day. And if you measure that, you'll see in a cancer patient, they are only making around 10 kilograms. So there's no getting out of bed, there's no healing. But once you knock that calcium wall off of the mitochondria, and then the electrical charge from the Cellsonic, the mitochondria are like this, everyone, and they are. Okay, I left my battery on too many times, the car won't start. So guess what? And guess what? On the posts where the electricity comes in, it's all rusted, and you can see all that buildup on the battery. You knock the buildup off, that's the calcium. You go and you turn the Cellsonic will knock the calcium shell off, okay, just like the shell on an egg. You crack that open, and then the electricity goes in, jump starts the mitochondria, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And this is where Andrew will use the word cure. I won't. And I'll tell you that with a person with stage 4 cancer, one treatment can shut down that stage 4 inflammation. That stage 4 inflammation can shut down in one treatment. And it only shuts down because the signal from the Cellsonic is so powerful, it jumpstarts the mitochondria, and it started to spin its revolutions, which created a whole new frequency in there that said, there is no frequency of cancer in here anymore. And that's how fast it can happen. Wayne, what do you think?
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen that happen. I think the other thing we like to do is after we've treated with the Cellsonic, we do ask each patient to please email us every day for about 2 or 3 weeks and just give us the detail on what changes have happened.
Beautiful.
And so, and so we get that feedback every day. We see it's going in the right direction. If there's other things we might have to include, like diet or nutrition or other things, then we'll just mention that to them as we go along. So we keep in very close contact with each of our people, and this allows us, when we're writing up a case, to really have a good feeling for what's actually really happened for them.
Thank you. So I want everybody to get this, and I want you just to try to absorb it, and then you're going to want to challenge me, and that's okay. But let's take the most powerful energy medicine device in the world with the most powerful body work, and then let's take the perfect day on an emotional, nutritional, and proper detox level where we never have to think about going through a detoxification program again. We never have to think about eating right again. We never have to think about thinking right again, because we are that. And that's what a New World Practitioner does. And that's what a New World Practitioner is going to teach. Everything from diet to detox to nutrition. Remember something, everyone. We are going to change the face of health, and that's what Cellsonic World will do when we come together with everything else. And I'll tell you why. Because if a patient knows how to mind their own business, their mind, their body, they know how to make correct choices, and they do it long enough and strong enough, when your subconscious takes over and you're not thinking, because people are only in the present moment 2% of the day, you're actually making the right choices. And this is why you got to teach repetition long enough and strong enough, because a patient doesn't stay healthy because they're intelligent. They stay healthy because they've had a perfect day to follow in a strategy, and do that long enough and strong enough. You do it in your sleep. Just like people kill themselves in their sleep. They kill their family in their sleep. Their sleep meaning that everybody lives in the subconscious mind, okay, 95 to 98% of the day. And that's the only way that they're able to program us to think that medical care is health care. That we think the way we eat. Everybody thinks they have a good bowel movement. Everybody thinks they eat right. Everybody thinks they think right because nobody's thinking. So we need to get a whole new paradigm shift of thinking. And if you can take a look, everyone, I just want everybody to get this around the world. We are going to create a Cellsonic map everywhere around the world. And Wayne, you're going to be part of it. Everybody that gets training and Cellsonic from us is going to be part of this. And everybody on here, just know this. Tonight at 5 o'clock, right, Jeffrey? Jeffrey's going to be releasing it. We are going to have the most powerful platform, and we'll have our own Facebook, and we'll have portals for all our Cellsonic people to actually build their business under, okay? We are unleashing a $10 million platform. Is that true? This is not a lie, okay? There's nothing been done like this in the world of health. So, you know, we're going for all of it, not part of it. We're going for all of it. So when somebody gets a Cellsonic from us, we're going to make sure that it's over. They don't have to worry about success with their patients, because they're going to know how to do it all. They'll get a complete new world. Can I see that, please? Can you move that over, please? The slide, so I can see it? No, just put your thing up and move it over, please. Carlet, all the way, please. Thank you. So when somebody purchases a Cellsonic, they will get a complete New World Practitioner certification package free. They'll get lifetime membership to our advanced master trainings, and that happens twice a week. Okay, they will get monthly Cellsonic webinar trainings with me that are separate from that, and we'll also be coming on every 2 weeks, and we'll be talking about as New World practitioners, we're going to be talking about our case history with our patients and what they're doing, because everybody's going to be able to have that, and that's what Andrew wants. So we're going to give it to them, not just email, we're going to give it to them live. And we'll actually bring people on and have them talk about it. And remember something, everyone, we don't do anything to cure people. We don't. We provide the things the body is missing, and the body cures itself. And then the person only stays cured if they know how to strategize and have the perfect day every day, because nobody stays cured and there are no cures. You can only become your cure if you are providing the body what it needs to give you what you've always wanted, which is unbelievably great health. All right, they'll also be placed on the worldwide Cellsonic map, okay? And then that whole thing will have built-in referrals all over the world. All right, and then they'll have lifetime support and direct contact with me. So here's what I want to say is this, and I need everyone to get this. It has to be good for everyone, the patient, the practitioner, and everybody has to come together as a group. There's the AMA, okay, every association out there that has succeeded has come together and worked together as one group. And we are going to do this, okay? We're going to open this up to everyone. We've only begun. We're just going to use our imaginations, and we're going to create the strongest platform for all our practitioners in every group. The ones that don't purchase Cellsonic, it doesn't matter. That's why we purchased this platform, okay, that we're going to be talking about tonight. Anybody that can make it, if you don't believe me, we are going to do something that's never been done before. And I mean that. It'll be 5 o'clock Central Time tonight. If you haven't got the Zoom link, can you put the Zoom link up, guys? Or how are these practitioners going to get it if they didn't get it? Okay, so the link you used today will be the same link if you'd like to come on. It's going to be worth your time, okay? Because I'm going to prove to you that I will take all my energy, all my money, and I'll roll the dice like I've never rolled it before. And we're going to take this world back. One person at a time. We're going to show one person at a time that they've always had the power and to heal themselves and to stay healed. Andrew?
What you've started, Daryl, is happening next week. We're moving into a bigger factory.
Yeah, you will. You will need a bigger factory.
There's a chain of events going from the production, from the design, which we've already done years back, to the production, to you at the sharp end treating patients.
Right.
We're growing to cope with all this, and thank you, Daryl, for making it happen, and thank you to all you customers who are using the machines then. And the patients, which Wayne's talking about, Shallow, have you had any feedback already in the last few days from your first patients?
So mostly it's just because it's only been a week I've had this thing. So
I know that.
Right. So I've been working on myself, my family, and yeah, the pain is gone. Like, remember in the training when I did my ankle, right?
Yes.
Instantaneously, it was like 100, 150 pulses, and that stiffness, tightness, achy in my ankle was gone. Now, interestingly enough, the next
it's
day,
gone and not come back.
It hasn't come back. But interestingly, the next day I had pain at the bottom of my foot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what is this about, right? And so the area that's treated, there's no pain, but because I guess the ionic calcium that's released, it starts to go to work. So then when work is being done, things are moving and shifting. So you'll start to notice aches and pains other ways. And so I treated the bottom of my foot, and guess what? All good.
Yeah, and know this, everybody. You're never going to have a pain. You're never going to have inflammation. You're never going to have a swelling. You're never going to have a lump. You're never going to have a bump. okay, unless you've got a block, and that block is calcium and scar tissue. I got to tell you something right now. The whole thing is BS, okay? The whole thing is BS. The whole medical system and most of the natural health system is all built on BS. And I'm talking about the BS that stinks right now, because it's always been displaced calcium, it's always been crystallization, and it's always been scar tissue. And I don't care whether you're talking about diabetes or sinusitis, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about fungus in your toe or fungus in your nose. Everything is about blocks. And you remove those blocks, you bring the circulation back. It's always been about that. No circulation, no energy. You check a person, hey, how much energy does a dead person have? How much circulation does it have? You know, it's always going to be about that, okay? And then, like you always say, Andrew, and this is why with every Cellsonic, Andrew, we are going to be teaching the Whole Life Coach Emotional Certification course, which is 9 days for free. Because if you don't go in and you help someone to change their personality, they'll never change their reality. If you want a different life, then you need a different brain. If you want a different brain, then you've got to go into the subconscious, which is 90% of the brain, and you've got to do what? Some real weeding. Because remember something, the people that are actually dying out there, okay, or healing themselves, okay, it's all about belief systems. Okay, there are no stupid people, there are no smart people, there's stupid beliefs and there's smart beliefs. Stupid beliefs, smart beliefs. There's sick beliefs that make people sick, there's smart beliefs and healthy beliefs that make people healthy. Just like this, if you were raised in a family that always made money, I guarantee you could be as dumb as a stump and you'd be rich forever. Everything is a belief. And because most of our families were poverty stricken, because it's all been programmed into them, most people in this room that are here in this room with me and on this show have poverty consciousness. You are only your beliefs, and until you want to go in and you want to dig deep and you want to repeat enough times, like 10,000 times, a new belief system that starts off like a little cow path and make it into an 8-lane highway. And that's what you need to do. And that's how life is. Let me tell you something, okay? I came from poverty, 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 and I will be rich for the rest of my life. They could take everything away from me and I'd have it all back in 6 months. And understand something, I could have cancer today and I would have it gone in 2 weeks, maybe in 2 days, because it's all about here and it's all about energy and it's all about electricity and it's all about circulation. It's all about calcification, scar tissue formation, crystallization, and that's it. And everybody's got to make it into a big deal, and it's not. And understand something, everyone, and I know that everybody has family members that have passed away from cancer, and there's going to be a lot more. It's coming. And you know why? Because you didn't change your personality, because you didn't change your treatment. Stop getting treatment, start getting trained, and this is what we tell people. If you don't want to take your life back and you keep on giving it to other people, then this is what's going to happen.
Carol, all of that's good stuff. And what Shallows just confirmed is how quickly she was getting good results. But let me lift you into another situation where there's actual injury. And here I'm talking about severed spinal cord. This, if you remember Chris Reeves, the actor.
Yes,
Superman,
I do.
He came off his horse and landed on his back. Supposedly, there's no cure. And in his case, at that time, it wasn't. But we've done about 3 or 4 of these severed spinal cord cases. Now, it's not instant, it cannot be, because new tissues have to grow. And what the Cellsonic is doing in this particular case is not breaking things, as it does with a kidney stone, for example, which is where our technology began. It's sending that message to the brain, and the brain says, there's something wrong in that area, because they've said ouch in that area, and starts the reconstruction of new nerves in the spine. We've got a particular case now, and I'm saying this thinking that maybe this chap will hear what is being said off this broadcast. He enjoyed his speedboats, made his back a bit painful. And then one evening on his ranch, the Americans have ranches, not farms. He's actually a Swede, is this guy. He came off his quad, 4-wheel motorbike, and was all night they're injured, and it was found in the morning. So operations were done, but I think that surgery is never good news. They messed up his spine and all the nerves. And I'm saying to this guy, you need Cellsonic now. In fact, the only effective repair will be Cellsonic. It can't be instant. It will be a treatment twice a week, maybe for 8 weeks, maybe longer. But that will result in his brain being able to control his limbs. The nerves will join up again. And I had personal experience of this with a patient I met when I was in India, young girl of 18, 4 years before. She'd been in a car accident. And now with the Cellsonic, she could wriggle her toes. I said to her, and she knew exactly what I was getting at. I said, can you now tell when you need to go to the toilet? She beamed to know that I'd realized what had been her biggest problem of all. She'd lost her dignity. It wasn't just mobility. Fortunately, she got rich parents who could provide her with a car and a driver, so she'd been able to keep up her education and she could talk English. But this is something that Cellsonic can do over and above what Daryl's just been talking about. Drugs can't do it. The Cellsonic can. How it does it, I'm not sure. But it does it. This is what it does. How is something the researchers will figure out and tell us in years to come, which will be just interesting. For us now, it's the patients. They need help. Nobody else can help them. And Cellsonic can. So I think the extreme end is severed spinal cord.
Okay, so Andrew, if I can say this, I want you to just picture this. All right, so when we work on a spine and we do non-surgical, that person, when they were at their complete height, most people lose anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches, even 2 inches, right, in height. No, they don't. What happens is the actual discs in between the vertebrae, they get inflamed and dehydrated. And they don't thin out. You haven't lost any fiber. It's the same thing I'm always telling you, is it used to be spongy, and now it's turned into a thin beef jerky, but all the fiber's still there. We'll do 1.5 hours on someone's spine, and guess what? Did you know this, Andrew, that we'll bring them back to their regular heights that they had when they were at full height? So you want to think about this one, Andrew. And then if they were to use my clapper on this guy, well, now we'll do non-surgical. Now we'll do non-surgical, and then we'll get his wife or someone to clap his back, his whole spine every day for about 1 hour, clapping it. And then we'll use the Cellsonic, and guess what? That's called rocket science, okay? So when to go in with just the Cellsonic after surgery, surgery causes more scar tissue and more of a beef jerky scar tissue than anything else. So once we go in, and that's why I'm going to tell you, you know, my job is I'm going to get to everybody who has a Cellsonic to get them to get the non-surgical, because if they have that and the Cellsonic, then we're going to see miracles happening every day all around the world. You know, because here's what I tell my the people that actually get the Cellsonic, why we're giving all this training for free. Because I can stand outside with my cell phone and I can call in here. And you know, in Mexico, the walls are pretty thick. If I stand behind one of these walls here, I'm not going to get good reception. That's the impulse, that's the energy, that's the communication. So if I remove the wall, how fast is the communication going to move now with the Cellsonic through that guy's spine? I'm telling you right now, between my work and your work, Andrew, we've just changed the whole world. And I'm just trying to contain myself right now. Because when we work on people here, you've never seen anything like this. You've never seen how fast this goes. You know, we have got people that have tumors the size of a huge softball, this big. Between doing the non-surgical and the Cellsonic, we've brought that down by 70, 80%. Yeah, So there's the difference. So when we start pulling these fibers apart to allow life in, and that's what Cellsonic is. And everybody, I want to get this. I don't know if you'll agree to me this or not, Andrew, but I believe that the Cellsonic with 25,000 volts in a love harmonic, I believe it has every positive frequency in the universe in that pulse. And I can't confirm it. I can't confirm it, but I feel it.
It has, because it's a bang.
Because it's a what?
It just goes bang.
Okay.
It goes bang. You've got a gap in the circuit. Normally electric circuits won't work if you've got a gap. So we've deliberately created the gap. It's 1 millimeter, that's all it is. The electricity gets to the anode, has to cross over to the cathode, and as it jumps, it goes bang. And you see this in nature with a thunderstorm, where the electricity in the atmosphere has to come down to Earth, and that gap, which is from high in the heavens down to Earth, the millions of volts in the thunderstorm, the lightning is crashing down. And we're doing it in the shockhead, the wand as the Americans call it. And I've even referred to this as a handheld thunderstorm. So there's an electric field from that 25,000 volts, which is only inside the head. The voltage is not going into the body. That's why I called it Cellsonic. It's the sound, not cell shock, it's Cellsonic. But the electrical field around the head is present. And that field will go through brick. It's going through bone, it's going through the soft tissue. And that's changing the voltage of the cells. It can break up the calciums. You have light, sound, and that electrical field. Now, here's something very important, because if you're trying to analyze how it works, you might get yourself diverted from the purpose.
Right.
The purpose
Right.
is to treat patients. What it does is very clear, very easy to do. Now, the how bit is just intellectual playtime. And you all know I ride a bicycle. If you don't, you will soon learn. A bicycle is my medicine. I don't actually use Cellsonic. After Cellsonic, what comes next is a bicycle. Life behind bars, the handlebars. Right. And all the doctors say to me, how does it work? And I tell them what I know. And they're still not satisfied. I say, right, mister, you've been to buy a bicycle, haven't you? Well, in many cases they have. So what did you said to the shopman, how does that bicycle balance? Because it's only got two wheels. One is in front of the other. And I want to go for 20 miles without falling over to left or right. How does it balance? And the shopman doesn't know. And the doctor doesn't know. But you still bought the bike. You accepted that it would balance. Right. Well, stop asking me stupid questions about how the Cellsonic works. Accept that it does.
Okay, so
now, how does the bicycle balance? I said, well, it's micro watts, and they look even more crazy then. But actually, it is micro watts. If you tighten the headset, as we call it, the steering bearing on a bicycle, so you can't move the handlebars, it won't balance. As you're going along, and I've done 20 miles this afternoon before I joined you in this, through the countryside, you can see it behind me. If that steering can't wobble a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left to correct your balance all along, and you're doing it subconscious, then the bike won't balance. So that's how. But the how doesn't matter. I never thought this afternoon for 20 miles, how the hell am I staying upright? I thought, what the hell am I going to say to Daryl on this broadcast this afternoon? I thought, I'll tell him the how and what story. There you go.
very good. Thank you for that. And everybody, I want you to understand, you remember something, and people don't really think about this. Remember when you were younger, well, of course you do, but when you were younger, all the bones in your body were having little small fractures 24/7. That's how you actually got bigger. That's how you got stronger. That's how everything got replaced that needed to get replaced. And remember something, everybody. What now helps to create that new bone? Well, actually, the Cellsonic mimics when you were younger, and it actually causes these small little fractures throughout your bones, and it says, you're not old, you're young again. Let's get some ions going. Let's get some communication. How many people know that calcium ions will carry on 120,000 hormonal and chemical processes every second? And that's what you unleash when you do and you work with the Cellsonic. Anyways, Andrew, how about we do this? Let's go around and let's have everybody help finish off today's show. Okay? Dana, you want to start?
Dana, are you going to ask me some questions?
Yeah, okay, so I have actually a couple clients I'm really excited about the Cellsonic, because as you were talking about the spine, I have a guy who had an injury off of a jet ski, and I also have another lady that her tailbone is actually broken and she's going to be going into surgery for 2 months. So I'm really excited to be using this on them. But anyways, I'm just being on this meeting and hearing all the wonderful testimonies, and I'm just like shaking in my body, and I just know that this is like the answer to so many people's lifelong chronic illnesses, and us just being able to support them in their healing by telling them how to eat, how to think, how to drink. And also, you know, with the Wolf Non-Surgical, of course, one of the most powerful bodywork in the world, that I am a master Wolf Non-Surgical practitioner. And then along with the Cellsonic, it's just, you know, it's just gonna be mind-blowing.
It will. Let's talk about that tailbone problem, and then we'll come back to the ski boat thing. The tailbone, the surgery is not going to help. And it's not a big bone. There's a technical name for it. Wayne might know. I don't know these things.
Zap it with it's called the coccyx.
Coccyx.
Yeah, that's right. Zap it with the Cellsonic, and it will heal bone. Now, this we've known for 30 years, maybe longer. And that was known when the urologists working on kidney stones asked, if we're not accurate aiming at the stone, but we hit bone, what happens to the bone? And that was microfracturing and healing very well, which made the machine become a tool for orthopedic surgeons. They don't need surgery to repair their coccyx. They need Cellsonic. Surgery is asking for trouble, infections, side effects of the scalpel, and so forth. Absolutely. So that's straightforward. Now, when you, for example, do one of the big bones in the leg, if that's broken, once you've zapped it, we can go on later, you can ask me in detail later the protocol for this. That bone is then broken and has to be given 2 months to heal. So allow for that. Now, the coccyx, you're going to get it healing, but the person's got to be very careful when they sit down. Anyway, there's important practicalities. Now, coming back to the person who's injured from the ski boat accident, tell us more. Where is the injury?
Well, he actually blew up. The jet ski actually blew up, and he slammed up against his pontoon boat and broke his back in 3 different areas. He's actually a really good friend of mine. So as far as the exact areas, I'm not for sure. I keep telling him he needs to come see me, and now especially that I'm getting the Cellsonic, but he's very, very depressed right now because they're pumping him up with all these drugs. It's not helping. He has come a long way compared to what they thought he would have, but the pain is so horrendous, and his legs feel like concrete, like he can't walk. He's got so much pain down his spinal cord, and so it's down his vertebrae, and so it's just, you know, he's just had a lot of tough times, and he can't even like mow his grass or do anything that he did, and he owns his own business, and so it's just been really rough for him. And so I knew this was the answer for him. I just felt it, and that's why I'm just, you know, excited to get this.
It should work. Surgery will not work, and that's, if you think about what's involved and what you can do with a scalpel, surgery will not work. The problems can't be resolved by removing something or stitching something together. The shockwaves, you could say Cellsonic is a shockwave machine. It's more than that, but there are shockwaves in there which will heal the bones. And you say there's 3 places. fine. The whole spine thing has to be treated. It might be that some of the joints will fuse together, but at least he will be able to move. And then the link between the brain and the lower limbs and his arms and all that will come back. The pain will start to go. It's not going to be quick. But those drugs he's on have to be phased out gradually, not suddenly. And he's got to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You see, he's run his own business. He was an energetic guy. Look at the sport he was doing, which suddenly the boat blew up on him. That sort of person to come crashing down to imprisonment within his own body is mentally tortured. He knows that. But when he can see that there's hope, and you're working on him bit by bit, twice a week, but maybe some months to come, but that's the only way for him. He will understand that, give him the logic, and let his body rebuild under the stimulus of the Cellsonic. You've everything to hope for. Wayne, you've had lots of hands-on experience. Do you concur with what I'm saying?
I do, Andrew, and what I'm going to say here is we do a lot of non-surgical joint repair with prolotherapy to strengthen the ligaments and ozone therapy into the joints to regrow cartilage. We inject ozone into the spinal cord through the cauda, and we have a 98% success rate for healing disc herniations. However, I've been doing this work a long time. It's been a very satisfying career. However, what I realize now is whenever I'm doing a prolotherapy injection, I'm thinking to myself, where I'm injecting, I'm treating, but I'm not injecting a lot of areas because where I do treat means I'm not treating right next door to it. Whereas with the Cellsonic, with that infinity beam, I feel like I'm treating all the ligaments on the spine. I'm treating all the ligaments in that area, not just the spots I'm injecting. So I'm finding that the Cellsonic has sort of become more of a preference in terms of treating musculoskeletal problems. But I like the fact that I know where to aim it because I've got a mental mindset on what tissues I need to repair.
Yeah, that's right. There's a very good diagram I've used in one of my articles, actually about mental depression, where treating the spine helps. And that diagram shows that there's wiring, and we use the word wiring here, from the spine to all the organs, the heart, the liver, the kidney, and so forth. So just treating the spine is more than just treating the spine. It's linking to all the other organs as well, which this fellow who's suffered the crash, he needs help there because he hasn't had the exercise to keep his body going. So the Cellsonic will bridge him over that until he can get the use of his limbs again.
So what we do is
okay, go ahead.
After treating the specific area, and we either just sort of diagnose where we need to do that, but we always use the pendulum. Then once we've treated the area, I like to do the Sapiens shield up and down the spine, up into the base of the brain, up the neck, across the flat bones of the pelvis and the shoulder blades, because we're working on the central nervous system, which has also got all the nerves going around all the organs. So we're working towards Sapiens shield rather than treating sort of advanced, serious chronic illness where people are panicked, they're anxious, they're in pain, and it costs more shock. It's more expensive because you've got to do a lot more shocks to get them well. Whereas Sapiens shield, we can see that being really efficient. Also, the concept of prevention, its time really has come, because I think people are realizing there's a lot of sickness around now. It's become obvious to everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shalou, what would you like to add? We can't hear you, love. You have to unmute. Unmute. Thank you.
Sorry. Anytime I get on here and I learn so much more, it totally blows my mind. So I have so many notes I've taken, but I have so many questions as well. And speaking on healing the bones, a lot of people that have had broken bones have rods. They've got pins, they've got all sorts of stuff. How is it doing the Cellsonic around those areas, right? Because there is a lot of calcification and stuff.
It doesn't matter about the metalwork inside. The pulses will bounce off them and be reflected and hit the bone around. So you hit from the front, the back, and the side, and so forth. So you'll just work around it. And then when the bone's knitted together, the question will arise, well, what do we do about the metalwork? If it's not doing any harm, just leave it. If the patient wants it out, that's another surgery. But I always remind people that the surgery has its complications. If they can live with the metalwork, then let it be. That's all right. Keep firing your questions. Go on, rapid shoot.
The other question I had was about, again, with the healing. There's a gentleman coming actually next week that has a broken bone in his neck, and he is in so much pain. So,
right.
Well, Shalou,
but he lives a little bit far away.
Shalou, you're gonna have to go in and use gentle with the non-surgical, and then go in with the Cellsonic.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question is, because he's like 3 hours away and he has to have someone drive him, because earlier Andrew said, twice a week for 8 weeks to heal, the bones. Just so that, is it better to do fewer pulses and have time in between, or do you, in a case like that, just do a lot of pulses? That's my question.
Right. Okay. He's got a broken bone in an inconvenient place, but there it is. Now, the protocol with a broken bone with pseudarthrosis, non-union fracture, that's what we're talking about. Because normally a broken bone will heal of its own accord. But for whatever reason, these two faces are not knitting together. And it used to be that the surgeon would open it up and with a file, rough up one end and then the other end and push them together and hope that they would join. When they don't, that's non-union fracture. The Cellsonic can cause bone to bridge a 6 millimeter gap, 1/4 of an inch. Energy level 10, 3,000 pulses. That will break bone. Put a plaster cast around it. In the case of the leg, what you do for the shoulders needs a bit of careful thinking about. And leave it for 2 months, because that's the time it takes for those osteoblasts to form.
Yeah, but if I can say something, Andrew, just remember something, Shalou, that ionic calcium, okay, I don't know if you guys know this, Andrew, but this product here is the only product that'll do it. And this can actually bring the bone back together. If you've got the patient doing this at home, and then you're doing the Cellsonic, understand, most people don't know what we know. This is the only.
Will that accelerate the healing?
No, I'll tell you something. This will guarantee the healing. It'll guarantee the healing, because without the Cellsonic, it could have taken maybe 3 to 6 months. With the Cellsonic in this, we're only looking at weeks.
Well, we're normally saying 6 to 8 weeks anyway.
No, but then you're looking at half the time, Andrew. This product here can actually take bone that cannot come together and grow it together. It's the only true ionic calcium in the world. This product has no side effects. Go into GovPubMed and you'll see, go back 100 years. They said that if anybody could ever come up with a product to actually get the ions out of the calcium and then put it into a liquid form that people drank it, that would be a miracle. Well, this is it. This product has no side effects, and we are not allowed to put this product in our store. People have to call in to buy it and purchase it. Meanwhile, it has no negative side effects because the FDA is trying to make it as hard as possible. There is nothing like this in the world. This is actually calcium ions in a liquid form, and it's the only one of its kind in the world. We have seen more things happen, and when you use this along with the Cellsonic, yeah, it'll
That's
yeah.
that's new to me, and it's good news. Shallow, you've got a list of questions.
Yes, MS, someone who has MS, would you just treat the spine?
The spine, yes, and as we said already, whatever the patients come in for, treat the spine anyway because it's rejuvenating.
The spine.
Now, the interesting thing that's understood about multiple sclerosis is the blood flow across the brain, and it's the outlet side, and I don't know whether it's this side or that side, that has a valve that controls that outflow. Every other organ, the blood is pulsed because of the heartbeat. And if that blood flow across the brain is not smooth, that seems to be the cause of multiple sclerosis. Now, this is the information I've got from Simon Shepherd, Professor Simon Shepherd at Bradford University, who's done a lot of work on that. And it was one of the doctors who told me that he'd had a lady, and we use the word cure again. This lady had trouble moving her legs, and he treated her here between the eyes and the ears at the side, not on the ears and not on the eyes, but in that area between both sides. And the next time he saw her 3 weeks later, she was walking up and down the stairs. So that's how I would approach it: spine and these side areas.
If I can add to that, Shalou, just so you know, also MS has its foothold in the large intestine. Do an abdominal lift and then do about 500 to 700 pulses along the large intestine from the cecum right around to the sigmoid. And I've never heard of that one, Andrew, in between the ear and the eye, but I was taught that what we call the middle eye, everybody, which is right up where you come into the brainstem. And that's where I just treated an MS patient right here. So what we did the non-surgical, opened up the occiput, cleaned out the middle eye right here, and then we did the Cellsonic right here, and then we did an abdominal lift and did the same thing.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Daryl, I want to say something here. My daughter here has MS. Was diagnosed with it, okay, and
Well,
we've had her on we've had her on Merigen,
Yeah.
we've had her on the Bioptron, we've had her on the Avicin, the pelvic expander. And when you went back into the doctor, one of the spots on your
they had told me that they had did a MRI on my body or whatever, and they said that the lesions are getting smaller and that they're not concerned at this time. So they were like, congratulations, and yeah, it was pretty great.
Okay.
She refused to take their medicine, so I was
Beautiful.
so proud of her. She was so strong.
Beautiful. And just know this, that if you just keep on doing what Dana's saying, go back in 6 months and it'll all be gone. It'll all be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Keep good. MS is so big. Keep good records. Wayne will tell you the importance of that. If you can work out the definitive protocol, and it might be that it's a little bit different for every patient. It's such a big one, is MS. I get asked about it a lot all week. There's emails coming in, what we do for MS.
And understand, and I mean this in the nicest way, but I believe MS gets its foothold in the large intestine. You know, they talk about the flow of the brain, and I will tell you that it's very important, but I call BS. Okay, I have seen it so often. You know, you get the bowel cleaned out, you get them doing the ultimate coffee enema, you go in and you do the non-surgical and get rid of the adhesions that are choking down on the large intestine and into the pelvis, and they walk out of the bloody wheelchair. And I've seen that back 30 years without any energy medicine equipment. So, but things are going to get worse now because of 5G, 4G, 3G, blue light, and everything else they've thrown at us. Remember, it's all just compounding.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Shalou, anything else? Dana, would you like to say anything?
I just want to say thank you so much. I have a client coming, so I have to hop off, but thank you so much. This has been amazing. And you know, Andrew, I'll be reaching out.
We're always here to help you. Shalu, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Janina, we've not invited you to fire questions in. Please do.
Shalu, before you run, did you get the list of people coming to Barrie from Tara?
I did, and my phone's been ringing, and some of them are popping into the restaurant.
Is there any way, I need you to, if you could you get in touch with the first group, okay? And make sure that we have it leveled out on what people need to bring, because if you can look after that for me.
Awesome, no problem.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have enough tables, chairs, mats, Scooby-Doo.
Got it.
Thanks, love.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye, guys.
Can you bring
Daryl,
can you bring
I have
that
a
slide over, please? So over here, so I can look at this camera. All right. All right.
Janina,
I have a question for Daryl.
Oh yeah, wait.
Always have it in front of the camera.
Can I just ask you, Daryl, I'd be interested in what you're calling your non-surgical methods, because I think I probably already do a lot of that stuff, really. But
I think you do some of it. I think you do some of it.
Open to new ideas. I always open.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because I actually put this together when I was 27 years old, and I want to show you. This is the manual, okay, for it, okay?
Okay.
So I will send you the actual PDF of this manual, and you go take a look at it, and
I'd appreciate it.
jump into that, and then let's compare notes
Okay.
and hit the ground running.
So I have another question, please. Multiple myeloma. How does this? Has anyone had any experience with multiple myeloma, please? And what have you noticed or found?
Yeah, we have, but you have to understand that when we do it, we're doing first of all we're doing non-surgical around the area of all of them, okay, around the area of the body. We're also doing the perfect day diet usually for the first 2 weeks. If they're not underweight, then we kick in the 6-day advanced water fasting, and then we do the ultimate coffee enema. And if it's a female, then we're doing vaginal infusions, okay? And then we're also, if it's a male, we're doing rectal infusions.
Okay, got it.
But as far as how successful, when you put all this together, I'll be honest with you, and I know people don't want to hear this. I don't think there's nothing that can't be turned around. Okay?
I agree.
I don't believe that there is no such as incurable. Okay? That's just somebody who has limited beliefs. And impossible is I am possible. Seriously. You know what? I'm telling you, if people can actually get sick living in their subconscious dysfunctional belief systems, what happens when you wake up?
Andrew, I have a question. What about paralysis of the throat and things like that? I have a client that I just worked on, and I want to go and use this machine on him too at some point. But he has problems with his swallowing, and then he aspirates.
He can't drink unless he's sucking it out of a paper towel or a sponge or something like that. But then when he does swallow, as you would with, any kind of dysmotility, he starts to aspirate.
It's a muscle. Is it the muscles that are?
No,
yes.
It's not just
Daryl.
Daryl will know, yeah.
What?
I was gonna say it's Daryl's client.
Actually, he's got cancer. He's grown a tumor. Correct? Yes.
Right.
So
is that what's causing that the muscles? I mean, we didn't really know.
Yes.
Just curious.
So the thing is when you're dealing with something like this, you have to make sure that you don't move too quickly, because everything swells before it dies. So, you have to watch that part. So you don't want to be too aggressive.
Okay.
Because whether you're talking about like in the throat, the brain, and in the intestines, we don't want things to swell too fast. So if you get too aggressive on something like that, it can swell too fast, and then it's actually going to choke them off, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay. So, as far as the Cellsonic goes, I mean, if the person was close enough you would go in and do the Cellsonic, and you would do an average amount, and then you would give it 2 or 3 days and take a look, right, Andrew, and see what the reaction is.
Yeah, yeah. What we'll do, Diana, when you get the machine, is talk about the diagnostics as well, which is key to monitoring where you stand with the cancer. Wayne is a master of this, and we can go into that when you're ready.
Andrew, we want to know what the upper limit of using how many pulses. So the most we've done on anyone is 6,000. That was on Paul. That's what we did on him.
Wayne, what did Paul have, Wayne?
He had very high human chorionic gonadotrophin, HCG.
Okay.
Testicular cancer.
Yeah, testicular cancer.
Metastasized to the lung and the liver. Very positive attitude, though, this guy. Really quite amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. The question is, what's the upper limit? And the answer is we don't know, because we've not got there yet.
Got there. So what we find with anyone with malignancy is we go high on that first treatment. And I know that I can go up to 6,000 because I've done that. I haven't gone any higher than that yet. I will figure that out. My next question, though, is what is the least amount we could do to still get the good effect? Because we might be overshooting the dose that we actually need or is required.
Wayne, can I interject for a second? And then Andrew, can you kind of straighten us out? Yeah, so I have a lady that came in and she had a tumor. Okay, the tumor was about this big. Okay, all right. All right, so anyways, it was sitting right under her lymph node and kind of coming into the breast. So what we did the first time is we went in and we did 500 pulses on it. Then I went back in and did another 500 pulses the next day. Then we gave it a couple of days and went in and did another 500 pulses. And then each day the therapist went in and did some really nice, gentle, non-surgical, not on it because it was very calcified. And you don't want to make it any more angrier. And just went around it to make sure that there was lots of flow. And that came down by 70% in 3 days.
Yeah, the question of maximums and minimums here. The maximum we don't know, for the obvious reason that to find it, we'd have to keep blasting away until the patient died, and then we can say, well, we do 10 less than that. But you've got to 6,000 so far, and that was good. But it's not just the number of pulses, it's also the energy level that's used. So if you go back to the big lithotripters, as made 40 years ago by Dornier, the HM3, which is where I got into this industry, that was a very powerful belt. And to break a stone, kidney stone, was 3,000 at 10 times the energy of a Cellsonic. So does that mean 30,000 in Cellsonic equivalent? I don't know, but it could be of that order. So I think and you found this yourself, at 6,000 with a Cellsonic, you're still in the safety area. Now, as to the minimum, the very interesting result on a lady called Susan, which is the name I've given her in the report I've done on Susan's story, thyroid cancer, 41 pulses. That's 10 seconds of treatment. And that was in December. And she's still fine now. We're into nearly August. One treatment of 10 seconds. And it worked. Why do any more? You're only wasting money and time. Follow the pendulum. The pendulum is extremely accurate. We've not mentioned thermography in this discussion this evening, which is available at Darrell Wolf's clinic. The pendulum seems to be even more accurate, and I do refer you to Jerry Tennant, Dr. Jerry Tennant, who doesn't use the word cancer or cure or anything because he's in America and he knows how to survive. But he's got terrific insights, and I'm very much a fan of his. We're not stealing his information, we're spreading it, because all credit to Jerry Tennant.
I've worked with Jerry Tennant for 17 years.
There you go.
And used his Skenar and now his Tenant biomodulator. I think the Cellsonic supersedes some of that, but Jerry is a genius, in my opinion, and certainly the theoretical underpinning of his work has a lot of applicability to the Cellsonic.
Yeah, I totally endorse that. Yeah, it's great. Dana, have we helped you? I felt we digressed a bit somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll be in touch, you know, when
Look, that's how it goes. Look, I'm just a collecting center for all the information. Wayne tells me stuff, all the other, we've got about 500 machines around the world. It all feeds through me. I get out on the bike and say, what the hell does this mean, you see? And that's where I cogitate and try and digest it all. So by the time you've come up with a question, I've probably figured out the answer. And if I haven't got the answer, I'll find it. Somebody somewhere will tell me, won't you, Daryl?
Well, if not me, it'll be Wayne. Right, Wayne?
Could be.
Could be. Should be.
I'm thinking with the minimal doses is that we could treat with less pulses, but then get the feedback from the patient. And then Daryl's just indicated we could treat them again the next day or much sooner than we normally would, and just make sure that there's continuous improvement.
So I just will say this. I should tell you this. So what happened is just so you know that it went like a pendulum. So it actually went down by 70%, and then it went back up, and it got really swollen, and then it went back down, and it stayed. So it was trying to huff and puff. It was really crazy. So it went down, okay, after 3 days, then it went back up, and then it was like around the 5th day, it was actually maybe 1/3, maybe 20% bigger than it was when she came. And then guess what? 2 or 3 days later, it went right down and it stayed down there. So you see, it's like that star thing. A star just before it dies gets much bigger and then it puffs out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, something we mustn't forget here. We're talking about the Cellsonic and the pulses, but we have to confess that that's half the job. The mind, the brain is the hardware, the mind is the software. The thoughts going through the brain, the mind, have a huge influence on the body. And you've done a treatment and the patient understands that now they're going to be all right. That sense of I'm cured, I'm going to be all right, is positive thinking. And that alone can do even, I think, more than the Cellsonic. I might be talking myself out of the sail here. The machine is needed to make it happen, to consolidate it.
Kickstart.
The mind is everything.
Yes, it is.
And you, the practitioner, encouraging, comforting, arm around the shoulder with the patient is so important. It's got to be positive, no negatives at all.
Yes.
That's important.
Beautiful.
I agree.
All right, everyone. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming on. And
has Gianna had a chance?
I was just going to say, we'll finish with her beautiful statement. What would you like to say?
Well, I am so very excited to start. This is incredible. It's like miracles. I can't wait to get my machine and get my hands on it. And thank you for everybody's support and everybody's information. So there's only a learning curve here to do, and hopefully we'll get to a lot of people. But I'm very happy. I've been smiling all along with the incredible.
Okay, good. Right, remember, there's a team here to help you. You're not on your own.
Right. That's even better.
Yeah, we're gonna create this Cellsonic map so that people can come together and work together, share all the stories. Just so you know, Andrew, we're creating a whole platform for Cellsonic, aren't we? And it's going to be an information collection site from everybody that's using Cellsonic. Our patients are going to be able to go in there and actually talk about it, talk about how they feel. We're going to be tracking it all.
Brilliant.
This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
It's been lovely meeting all you Cellsonic practitioners. This has been a beautiful experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Thank
it-
you for all your knowledge too.
oh, and Dana, if I can say this, if your equipment's really late, then call Andrew, blame it on him. Thank you, love.
Okay, Daryl, point taken. We're getting a bigger factory.
Okay. Love to everyone. Okay. And thank you for being part of the team. And I mean that. Andrew, thank you for all your brilliant work. Wayne, thank you for everything that you stated today. We love you. And Dana, your whole team there, you're just going to rock. Okay. Gianna,
Yes, we
thank you
are.
very much, sweetheart. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
And thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us on what we'll be calling this is Cellsonic World, and we'll be coming on every 2 weeks, and we'll be not making any promises. We're just going to talk about what happens when you actually teach people how to love and care for themselves, and you actually activate their cells with the world's most advanced, okay, energy medicine device, okay? Anyways, I've got to scoot. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be on Facebook a fair bit, letting you know, watching you where I go, what I do, the crazy stunts I do. But just understand something. If you're not risking every day just a little bit, okay, and you're not changing at least 1% a day, then guess what? Then you're not doing much. And I'll tell you something. This is Planet Earth, a life-threatening, fun-filled adventure for the whole family once you learn the rules. Braveheart. God bless. You know, it's not good enough to have the most powerful courses, treatments, and training. We want to deliver to you the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. And I'm going to take you on a little adventure right now and show you what we are going to deliver. What are we going to deliver? We are going to deliver the authentic you, the real you, the genius inside. How would you like to become not just the master of your mind, but the master of your body, the master of your life? You know what? The most important world is your world, and we're about to show you how to create it.
Found Dr. Wolf and all his positivity and trying to reshape our way of thinking and help me be a better person, a better mom, better wife. I'm glad I found him in person in Ixtapa, Mexico.
Never limit yourself to beautiful, because that's what you are. Take a look at this beautiful place. We all deserve beauty in our life. You need to create a new program that is unlimited when it comes to things that are beautiful, things that make you happy, things that make you shine, things that make you feel excited. Let's get excited.
This guy's got something really interesting to say and he's sharing it really openly and we're just really not caring what other people think, and I just thought that was really empowering.
What I've learned in my life is this: to be the change you wish to be the change you wish to see, Braveheart, you have to understand you take life one step at a time.
Dr. Wolf, as many people will have seen, is very direct and straight and will take you to the edge of the cliff, as he says, and then pull you back just in time.
Never lose your focus. Never lose your dream, because you are the dream maker. It's called image, but guess what? It's your imagination. The image that you hold creates the thought that you live with. That thought creates an emotion that creates a frequency, and we know that the invisible creates the physical. I mean, that's quite obvious. So be the power that you seek, and understand something, that all your thoughts matter. And guess what? Unless you're willing to take a look at those thoughts and retrain your brain, change your personality, you'll never change your reality, and your reality could become infinite.
He's a wealth of information, and I love it.
You were created by your creator to create. So let's create something amazing together.
I found Dr. Wolf and I went, wow, here's a truth speaker. And he spoke to my soul and he spoke truth.
So tell me what you think of the destination that I came up with my imagination to hold the whole life coach certification for you. Understand something. It's all about beauty. It's all about adventure. It's all about stimulating the mind, okay? And understanding that your mind is unlimited. And that is what the whole life coach certification is all about. In the whole life coach certification, we are going to go deeper. We have people coming to us, professionals coming to us, from doctors to nurses to accountants to oil riggers to mothers that want to expand their life. And when they come here, they go, I need to learn to help my family, or I want to improve my business. But guess what? We get into their business. When they leave, they become the change that they wish to see, that they wish to be. They become the gift to the world, because when you can stay in the present, and you can't do that until you have unconditional love and care for yourself. And I'll tell you something right now. I have hardly even found 1 out of 1,000 practitioners, or even so-called whole life coaches, that can hold the present moment and own it and then give it as a gift. And this is what I'm going to give to you. And when you come here, this is where you're going to come into this room when you need to find alignment, you need to find balance, and you need to get back into your lion heart breath, because we're going to go deep into your heart and we're going to become the spark that you seek.
And actually what I really love about Dr. Wolf's teachings is that unconditional love is literally it. And then you're like, how can it be that easy? That's just silly. So, but it's really not.
Come play, come stay, come train with us today. Understand something. I know we have fear, but understand, that's just false evidence appearing real. I get it. Stick your toe in, feel the water, but then I want you to dive right in because
how I found my brave heart was through Daryl. He really teaches you to go within and go in through your heart and not your mind, because your heart's a lot more connected to so much more than your mind. Your mind is just so conditioned and your heart is just so open and beautiful.
you're the answer that you've been looking for. Let me teach you how to fly. What does that mean? First, love yourself, Braveheart. Let's take life in and win.
I had just lost my husband a couple of years ago. With his passing, he gave me the greatest gift to love myself. But Dr. Wolf gave me the greatest gift in understanding that.
I had a dream 3 years ago that I would live in Mexico and I would have this training center, this teaching center, this treatment center that would touch the world. Your dreams are never too big. And when they start to create a little bit of anxiety, turn them into excitement. And get excited because this is your life.
He's the first doctor that I have encountered that has truly given me the truth, and not just half-truths, but the full truth. So it's been revolutionary for me in my healing process.
And this, my friend, when you take on the dream of all dreams and you realize that if you stay connected to your breath, that you can have it all. Do not let anybody take your breath away. Do not let anybody steal your dream, okay? Listen, God gave you imagination. This is your sandbox of life. Take your life back. Right now, we are teaching courses to people that have come from all over the world, and the government is saying you can't travel, you can't breathe, you can't have this, you can't come together. Yes, we will. And we will do it with unconditional love for each other. And we will learn to grow. We will not judge each other. We'll observe and see where we can support each other. But at the same time, we will hold the Braveheart line, because this is the only way that we can grow. So find your roar, because you're so much more. And learn this. You are the unconditional love that you've been looking for. You are the dream maker. I can't wait to see you. We want to become that small piece of the puzzle that brings your dream together. Thank you.